My name is Guy, and today I'd like to talk to you about Woodpecker's BC4-M2 Box Clamps. So the way these work is pretty slick. There's a piece clamped down to the base, and then there's a floating piece right here. And these are both cut at an angle, so when you tighten it down, this pushes down and clamps the wood into these corners right here. Now for different thicknesses of wood, this block here is fully adjustable, and there's also a track here that fits into teeth on here. And there are also marks on here to go from 1/4 to 3/4. I've got mine set to 3/4 for 3/4 inch stock that we're going to use for the demo. Everything is included in the kit that helps you set the clamp up in one of two ways. The first is the clamp from the top using the star knob, and the second is from the bottom, so this sits flat on a tabletop, and this clamps down using a hex key. If you also look on the wedge, there's a little slot in there that moves this from side to side, and that's so you can clamp two different thicknesses of wood together. Let me show you how that works. I have two pieces of plywood here, a 1/2 inch and a 3/4 inch. I've taken the bottom backer wedge and I've moved that halfway between the 3/4 and the 1/2 inch. Now I can take this piece of 1/2 inch plywood, put it in here, take this wedge, slide it all the way over, put the 3/4 inch piece of plywood in here, and tighten it down. Now using these clamps couldn't be easier. I've got 3 of them set up. I've got the bottom of the box I'm going to be making. I'm just going to set one in here to add support. Put that in there. And then one of the sides, like this. Kind of line them up on the outside. Now I can tighten this here. And that'll clamp everything in place. Now I've got this first one clamped down, and it's not clamped down real hard. It's just snug. It's not super tight. And that's important. I'll show you why in a little bit. But for now, let me get the other two sides on. Now I've got the other two sides, and I've got all 4 clamps on the bottom. And if you notice, this isn't very even here, and there's some gaps. That's okay. We're going to get to that in a minute. So I'm going to put the top ones on, and those work the same way, except for this, I'm going to use the star knobs to snug this up. Again, not real tight, just snug it up. And then I'll get the other 3 on. Now, as I mentioned before, this isn't very flush here, and there's a big gap here. Very easy to take care of. I'm going to take a dead blow hammer. I'm just going to give it a couple taps, like that. Get that nice and flush. And then do the top the same way. And there we go. Now I can just snug these all up nice and tight to get ready to assemble it. With everything all flush and square and clamped down tight, I can start drilling the holes to assemble this cabinet. One nice thing is there's a little bit extra space here, so I can get pretty close to this edge to drill that pilot hole. Another great way to assemble cabinets is with pocket screws. Now I've tried those clamps and they've never really held. They always seem to move around a little bit. So these are great because they hold the pieces very securely. With everything screwed together and the clamps off, I can check for square. I'm going to take on a square here, and that's perfect. I found these clamps very easy to use and helped me be very efficient in my last cabinet job. They've definitely found a permanent home in my shop.